check it out. And I went to go sign up for it, and then I was like, oh, we already have one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we last night was our first stream to kick, and we have 2 followers. Yay us.
You want me to go?
Yes. Thank you. Of course, I had to have Cobell brushing her teeth in the...
Looking very unhinged,
Yeah.
just brushing her teeth in a parking lot as you do.
Okay. What do I need?
Blue Sky?
Well, yeah, that too. Nope, not that one. They'll get upset. So apparently I'm a part of a Batman Collectors 1989 to 1997 group.
Okay.
Which makes sense because that's my favorite
Yeah.
era of Batman, but I didn't realize I was like... Definitely should not share our podcast there.
You never know. Someone might appreciate it.
Oh, okay. Well, solve the mystery of whether or not that was Sean. Is that the Sean we know,
Yeah.
which you might remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was weeks ago. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it looks all right.
Oh, I have notifications.
Oh, wow. I'm proud of you.
On Blue Sky. Yay.
Yeah.
Let me pull up my show notes, and I believe we can get to it.
Okay.
Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And this is the weekly episode of the Jedi Enclave Presents. Now, this is Podcasting Podcast, our weekly podcast about Star Wars and nerdom and things that we enjoy. And we last week we had a little bit of Star Wars.
Yep.
This week, no Star. Well, I guess there's
a teeny tiny bit of Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay. So first they're selling Mara Jade replica lightsaber hilts at Disney, I think, or they're going to. I think you can pre-order them.
Is this the sort of lightsaber hilt that you can take to the lightsaber making shack and make your own lightsaber?
I don't know. I've regrettably never done that before. Despite
it costs like $500 or whatever.
I think it's like $250, but it is like kind of expensive. And I've not been to Galaxy's Edge yet, which really sucks because I would very much like to go. But they're doing that. And also, did you watch the Andor special look?
I did.
So they did a special look. It had some new footage for Andor Season 2 with...
a couple snippets of interviews with the cast.
Like
and
Genevieve
Tony
O'Reilly
Field.
and Diego Luna. And it kind of reinforces what I already believe to be true about the series, which is that it looks fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait for it. And I swear to God, if 2025 is the year where 2 shows that I absolutely adore have second seasons that are as good, if not better than the last season, I might die. Because that's not generally what you expect, right? Like you expect, you get, like a lot of the times you get a first season and then like things don't just become so much better. Mm-hmm. And that is true about Severance, and I believe that will be true about Andor.
Certainly looks promising.
Yes. And I wish it would have been true about House of the Dragon, and it almost was. Which, by the way, I saw some news about that too, because they're working on the third season now,
Of course.
and they're gonna the show is gonna the third season is gonna open with a really huge battle, like in the first episode.
I mean, they're kind of teasing that with the last episode of season 2, with everyone walking
or sailing. Or
yeah,
everyone's going somewhere.
Just a 3-minute montage of everyone traveling.
To be fair, some killer fucking music.
Absolutely,
though, because I think didn't Goranson? No, it wasn't Goranson. It was the guy that did the music for Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
His name escapes me right now. He's a genius, but he's, Anyway, this is our podcast. As you can see, as you just witnessed, we can go from Star Wars to something else to Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and then
That's primarily a you talent, because like for a solid decade there, you were fascinated with Game of Thrones.
I am still obsessed with most of it. Which, by the way, so we did do our like 2-hour long, like with a map and everything,
yeah.
like our.
Yeah, you got me liquored up and dragged
yes.
me all around Westeros.
We will watch the entire show.
Oh God.
And because I have these feelings every couple of years where I'm like, oh, I'm coming up on a Game of Thrones rewatch, and I'm gonna wait for that, and that's when we're gonna jump onto it. And I've got to do Game of Thrones, but I also have to make sure that you are caught up on Silo before the third season of Silo comes around on Apple TV Max Plus, whatever.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to cover the third season because the first 2 seasons are really good. So anyway.
And those are all going to have to wait until we finish Battlestar Galactica.
Right, which is only 3 seasons.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like a super long show.
Yeah, we're already like a third of the way through season 2, something like that.
Probably, yeah. So anyway, today we're specifically talking about Severance, season 2, episode 8, Invincible.
Which is a very weird episode.
Yeah, and it's
not in a bad way, just unusual.
It's, I think, a lesser show. This would be like a filler episode, but they stuffed so much important shit into it that maybe it is a filler episode. I don't know, though it does a really good job of developing Harmony Cobell as a character.
We haven't seen her in like 6 episodes.
Right, and it kind of feels appropriate since we haven't seen her so long, but we also get some
major reveals.
Yeah, some answers to some questions. Some answers to some questions we didn't know we had. But also some other shit where you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking about that. We're going to talk about Invincible season 3, episode 7, which we're going to start off on.
Another major fucking episode.
I want to make sure we actually get to Invincible. So we're gonna start with Invincible, and then at the end we're gonna do Daredevil: Born Again, which had its 2-episode premiere, which also I was pleasantly surprised by because
pretty decent. And
I know like there are people out there that really like the Netflix Marvel stuff, and that's great. Like I don't want to take that away from you. Just personally, I never really got into it too much. Like the restrictions of the production were kind of like every fight is in a hallway, and like it's they were working on a smaller scope and everything, and that's fine. I just never really got into it. Daredevil was one of those things where like I think I watched the first episode and it's like I like the guy that plays Murdoch, but I don't know. It's and maybe it's because the only thing I had in my head at that point. Did you see the Ben Affleck Daredevil from like the early 2000s?
No, but I'm aware that it existed.
It's really bad. it's really, really bad. And I think maybe that also kind of like colored my my opinion of Daredevil. 2-episode premiere though, now properly on Disney Plus under full Marvel stewardship.
Kevin Feige and everything.
Had just in the first 5 minutes of the first episode was like, damn, like this is, they are not going easy on this. Like
they hit the ground running.
So we'll talk about that as well. So while we're going through everything, this is a live show. So if you're watching, hit us with some comments. We'll read them in between segments. And if you're watching this on the podcast release after the fact,
we can't respond to your comments live and in person, but if you're lucky, Daniel might type something snarky back to you.
It depends on if I get a notification that we have comments, because a lot of the times that does not happen. And so if you comment on our YouTube channel and you're like, why the fuck don't you answer? It's because I didn't know that you commented. So sorry. I moved on with my life, and so should you. So, like I said, I wanted to make sure we got through Invincible. Because the last couple of weeks, or last few weeks, we've been so focused on Severance, which we will be on this episode.
Yeah.
But Invincible had such a good episode that I was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Goddamn. And the only thing in my notes, I didn't take a ton of notes, is Invincible, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Because that, like, everything... They've been dealing with small potatoes up until now, right? So
like the previous episode for this one was essentially some dude with a minor superpower
electricity thing,
yeah, like the Omni-Man and Invincible fighting in Chicago killed his sister and niece, and he's real angry about it.
And he picks a fight with Mark.
Yep.
That results in
killing his wife and child.
So he doesn't like Mark too much.
No, he's having a real bad time, and he thinks Invincible is the cause of everything bad in the world. Now,
I have to point out that role is voiced by Aaron Paul, who plays Jesse in Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay.
And is such a fabulous actor. And one of the things they love to do in Breaking Bad is just torture the fuck out of him. Because he's such a good he's such a good actor, and he does this thing where, when he's really hurt or something really terrible has happened, he sells the fuck out of it, and he brings the same energy to this role. By the way, you can just hear that unbridled pain, pain and fury in his voice. He's almost always yelling.
Yeah, and
it's just he's a really good actor. I really enjoyed that. And there have been some issues with Cecil because Mark doesn't want to work for the GCW or GDA. Yeah, GCW, is that DC? Maybe I don't know. And then there's the whole Immortals fucking what's her name, and it's weird because he's 200 and I think she might be 17.
He's 3,000 or something.
Yeah,
he's really fucking old.
And each of the little characters, and there's been this whole thing with Oliver, trying to get him not to be a little psycho killer.
Yeah.
And
there's a little side plot with Rex and Ray finally dating. That was kind of cute.
And everything is all right, they're fighting some monsters, but it's been kind of, now we know, kind of the calm before the storm.
The closest thing we had to a crisis was fucking Dr. Seismic kidnapping all the superheroes, and then
or the one Viltrumite woman showing up, which I guess might have been the end of the second season. Yeah. So this episode,
this time,
holy god,
this season we've seen little hints of someone spying on Mark, and we've known behind the scenes as Angstrom Levy.
Yeah.
So this time, Angstrom Levy has rounded up a bunch of alternate universe Invincibles, and he basically sends them out and says, "Hey, go fuck shit up."
All the psycho ones, apparently. So he sends them out to all the major cities, and is just do literally as much damage as you possibly can, spare no innocent lives, knock every building down. At the end of this, I want everyone to look at Invincible and think, "Oh my god, that's who killed my loved one," or whatever. And they do, and they you would think that we would kind of build up to this, where at the beginning of the episode, Angstrom would reveal his plan, and they all prepare and they all get there, and then there's a big fight and everything, and maybe Mark stops them or whatever.
No, we just skip right
at the beginning. They just show up and they just start destroying the world.
Yeah, and they're doing this for 2 or 3 days.
Yes, yeah, it's a 3-day operation, and this show takes some heavy losses.
Yeah.
There are quite a lot of deaths. First of all, they're all multiverse variants of Mark, and they're all really cool.
They all have really really cool looks.
Yeah, there's the one Mark that just wears the Omni-Man thing, and then there's
the one that's just a Viltrumite with a
little mustache, right? Yeah. Yep. There's the one with the mohawk who I think was probably my least favorite, and the most of them are just crazy. They're just they're the
or they're just assholes,
right? They're the version of Mark that Nolan was hoping for, to help him invade Earth or whatever.
Yeah,
and they destroy L.A., they destroy Chicago and New York,
Paris, Tokyo, Seoul. There's a big list at the end where these are all the cities that got leveled.
Yeah, and I love how he finds out about this, because it's been a running thing where Eve like started Invincible Inc., which is basically just so he can go to the superhero prison and fight off people who are trying to escape, which happens apparently every week.
Yeah.
And she gets a call who's like, I think we need
Invincible.
you. Yeah.
She's like, he'll be right there.
Yeah.
And you don't actually hear the person on the other end of the phone, but we're assuming it's something like he's already here.
Right. Yeah. Because Eve has.
She's
this,
like, what?
Yeah. Because they say something, and she's like, run that past me again. Because it's like, I think we need Invincible, or we already have Invincible.
Yeah.
We're not sure what's going on, but please come over here.
Yes.
And he shows up, and it's Mohawk fucking
Mohawk Invincible.
Movincible, yeah. Who tears the jail up and shit, frees Aaron Paul's character. And
while this is happening, Cecil is like, okay, we need to call in fucking everybody, because one of the Invincibles broke into the Pentagon, and
they barely survived.
Yeah, like Donald has half his face ripped off, showing the robot.
Donald was one of my favorite characters this entire episode.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this man is so... Because he's just... like we
every time we see him, more of his fleshy bits are torn away.
And it's just like, he's like something from Terminator or something. And I'm really glad that at the end, when the dust settles, Donald is still alive.
Yeah.
And so they find out what's going on. They barely defend the Pentagon.
Yeah.
That like
Cecil has to call in his fucking flesh abomination,
and he's got to use the sound thing.
Yeah, and they're like punching the shit out of this Invincible, and finally Cecil's like, "Okay, stop, he's dead already."
Yeah, Jesus fuck, yeah. I did notice to make sure that there were no like easy plot holes, that his device for incapacitating Mark breaks, so that he can't keep using it.
And engineering, like the entire engineering department at the Pentagon is gone.
I appreciate that they were. Cecil has been preparing for a Viltrumite invasion.
Yeah.
He was not preparing for this. And it's like, they have no idea what to do, if they can do anything, right?
So he's just like, fuck it, call up every superhero we got.
All hands on deck.
Tell them to get the fuck out there and punch the closest Invincible.
Some guys we've never seen ever before. There's a guy named Britt that is played by Jonathan Banks, who is also a main character in Breaking Bad. Plays the character Michael Ehrmantraut.
Oh, so this is just the Breaking Bad reunion episode.
Right, yeah. It was pretty great. If they would have had like Giancarlo Esposito, that would have been perfect, yeah. Who, by the way, rumors are they're tapping Giancarlo Esposito to play Mr. Freeze in Matt Reeves' Batman.
Ooh.
Which is like a rumor that I saw. To take it with a grain of salt, it could be not very true.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I like it too. So anyway,
so this goes on for several days. A bunch of heroes end up dying, including Rex, who I was very sad about.
I was really sad about too. So
on the other hand, he goes out in about the most badass way possible. So like the Invincible that is beating him up, has him by the neck, and like Rex has this hole in his side.
Yeah, what's his power? So he can make things explode.
Yeah, he holds something and charges it up, and then it explodes.
Okay.
So he reaches into his side, and this Invincible's like, you don't have anything left to blow up. Rex is like, that's not true. I can blow up my entire fucking skeleton.
Yeah,
and then he does.
Yeah, and it's a fuck like. And it's really sad because they've done some good character development with him over the last couple seasons.
We first meet Rex in season 1. He's a complete dick.
He's such a douche.
He's such an asshole.
And it's sold so well because of the voice actor who he plays a character in Parks and Rec called Dennis Feinstein, who is this real douchey piece of shit cologne inventor. And he is that man. And it's not his fault, has one of the most punchable faces I've ever seen. And he does the douchebag thing so well. And that's the only voice he does. Because he's voice acted in a handful of things. He was a character in that newer animated Star Trek show. Okay. And he has a very distinctive voice, but that's the only voice he does. And he he's a very douchey character to start out with, and they've kind of like they humanized him and developed him, and by the end you're like, you know what, you're an okay guy, and then he's like, yeah, well,
I'm gonna blow myself up now. Bye.
I think it is hilarious, by the way, that version of Mark had a whole comedy bit lined up for Martian's last words.
Yeah, no, that's the one that attacks the Guardians.
Oh, is that not the guy that was?
Yeah, two different Invincibles there.
Right. Sorry, there's so many of them. Yeah.
Because the one who attacks the Guardians, you're right, is like, yeah, I ripped apart the shapeshifter guy.
Yeah. What was his last words?
I don't want to be unalive.
Right. Yeah.
Oh no, you're making me not be together.
Yeah. Right. It turns out he survived. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because I love that character, the Martian guy. He's so weird and zany and
also
just bizarre.
How many times has the Immortal gotten decapitated in this show now?
Every time.
Like,
I feel like
it's
every
at least
time.
3, right?
Yeah. It's like the one thing.
It's the one thing that can kill him.
Yeah. But it never does.
Yeah, because they always just put the head and the body back together, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I'm fine."
I thought it was a little his relationship with Duplicate I find very weird.
Yes,
because she's
like
very young,
18, 20-ish,
and he's like 1800 years old or whatever
at least.
Yeah, which by the way, I should ask Monty this when we play Battlefront, because he's kind of he's really into this comic series. Mm-hmm. Is it implied that he was Abraham Lincoln?
I do not know.
Like President of the United States?
I don't know.
I'll ask Monty.
Yeah.
So
finally, like after 2 days of absolute chaos, the Earth. So the numbers were there were 18 evil Invincibles. After 2 days, like they've leveled all these cities, but they're down to like 8 evil Invincibles.
Yes, and some of them aren't so evil. You find out that Langstrom had he promised each of them different things. Yep. So like because they all have a huddle over Mark's mom's house.
Like one of them just wanted to take this version of his mom and go home because he lost his mom.
There's a heartbreaking line by one of them who says, "I just miss Will."
Yeah. And
one of the showrunners got on Twitter and confirmed that Mark is from a universe where he and William fall in love.
Oh.
And something happens to William or whatever. And it's like, I would like more gay Invincible, please. Can I have more of that?
Yeah, but he's promised all these evil Invincibles something. And then he shows up and he's like, okay, great job, guys. Real proud of you. Now I want you to go find this universe's Invincible and bring him to me.
Bring him to me.
Yeah. And they're like, wait a minute. Where's all that shit you promised us? And Angstrom's like, well, I can see you're turning on me.
Yeah.
A little bit ahead of schedule, but that's okay. You can all go home now.
Yeah. And he's got 1 billion of these balls.
Yep.
It's like his whole fighting style now.
Yep. He
which,
just
by the
has
way,
these camera balls.
He's fucked up. Because you might remember at the end of the last season, in the I guess,
Mark beat the shit out of him and like splattered his brains all over the ground.
I don't know how. By the way, he drags himself through a portal to these like weird technicians or whatever that like fix him up, and he
somehow manages to rasp out "fix me,"
despite the fact that he had no jaw, or like his face is just like laid open.
His face is like spread out like a pancake. His brains are like spaghetti.
Yeah. This is very durable, man.
Yeah. So
he throws all of them in the world between worlds or whatever, like the one Sandy where Mark got stuck in the end of the last season. Yeah.
And then Mark, who is visiting Eve in the hospital because Eve got fucked up by an evil Invincible. Cecil's like, okay, good news. We found the guy responsible. Do you want to stay in here and hold your unconscious girlfriend's hand, or do you want to go punch a dude? And Mark's like, I absolutely want to go punch a dude.
I think I would like to go punch a dude.
Yep. So he gets out there and they have a little fight. And Angstrom uses his portals and his unlimited supply of camera balls, which in a big twist turns out to be limited about halfway through the fight.
Yeah, it runs out.
Yep.
Like the one portal that's throwing out like sputters and stuff.
Yeah, he's like, that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So Mark has him by the throat, and Oliver shows up and is like, dude, just fucking kill him.
What are you waiting for? Kill that man.
Please kill him so that this
Jesus.
never happens again. And Mark is like, I mean, I probably should, but also I don't really want to kill anyone. And he's like, distraction ball.
Yeah. Well, he decides to, because Mark, like, does the Anakin thing where he's like, oh, I shouldn't. And then he's like, you know what? Yeah, I should.
Yeah.
And before he's able to kill him, Angstrom gets away.
Yep.
He gets his arm chopped off in the portal.
He goes through a portal. Mark reaches through the portal, tries to pull him back. Angstrom closes the portal.
It's like the monster guy in
Yeah.
Avengers Infinity War.
Yep.
Got his arm chopped off, yeah.
Yep. So Angstrom's over with the technician. He's like, fucking fix me. And the technicians are like, no, I don't think I will.
Yeah, because you also promised us a bunch of shit,
Yeah.
too. And we saw you betray all the marks. And so here are your choices. You can work for us and we'll fix you, or you can fucking die.
Fucking bleed out. Yeah.
Which one do you want?
And Angstrom is implied to have taken the fix me choice, but we never see it.
Yeah.
So there's a little scene where Mark and Oliver go to help clear the wreckage and stuff, and the fucking Power Max or whatever the fuck his name is, Jesse, sees him, and he's like, "What the fuck? I fucking hate Invincible," and tries to electric.
Well,
shock
he
him.
makes a big plea about how everything's his fault.
Yeah,
and you can tell the onlookers are like, "Oh, maybe he's right."
Is he right?
Yeah,
like.
Is
Because
Mark
that was a lot of
bad guy?
Invincible. Because like there was an Invincible that destroyed this entire city.
Right. Not to say nothing of the fact that his father also murdered the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Or Guardians of the
Or Globe.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then
Mark meets Eve's parents in the most awkward way possible.
right. Okay. A good place for me to point out Eve's parents, even her mother, are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
And the fact that her mother allows her father's behavior is reprehensible, and
Yeah.
I consider both of them to be responsible.
Yeah, they're terrible.
They're both shitty people, and I get like her mom's like, oh, it's your father, and oh, men will be men, or whatever the fuck her thing is, and it's like, you need to speak up and you need to divorce your husband because he's a terrible fucking person.
No.
And you don't. So yeah.
Oh, let's see. There was one more scene, right? So Cecil calls in like the survivors, the surviving big guns, and he's like, "Look, I want to like we need to reestablish the Guardians of the Globe." Mark,
you're gonna lead.
I want you to be in charge. And Mark's like, "Fuck no,
no, fuck you. I'm not gonna do that.
I still don't like you."
Yeah.
And Cecil's like, "All right, let me walk you out. Like, look, you can go through a lot. It's really sucked. Like, I'm here if you want to talk." And Mark is like, "Fuck you," but also,
aw, thank you.
Bit.
Yeah.
So he goes out to help fix some stuff, and who should show up but fucking Viltrumite in this video thumbnail?
This guy. We're supposed to read Thanos from this, right? Because
Maybe?
he's got the big gauntlet.
I'm pretty sure that's a prosthetic or something.
Yeah.
It might be, but
I was just getting Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet vibes because he's really big and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
So he shows up and he's like, "Hey, what the fuck? Why isn't this planet under our control?" And Mark is like, "You know what? I was just begging the universe to give me something to punch, and then you
lo
appeared.
and behold,
So let's fucking fight now."
welcome to Earth. I like how he looks around. This guy looks around. He's like, "You're supposed to be further along than this."
Yeah.
Like,
like everything should be flattened.
yeah,
down to the
like
dirt.
looking at the ruins of Chicago or New York or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
like, that you are behind schedule, sir. Yeah, and so he goes to punch that guy. I'm pretty sure he kills him. I haven't read the comics, but Mark is in such a weird, vulnerable place, and I'm not like we saw a bit of him at the end of the last season where he had trouble and was unable to pull back from that brink, and he just like tried to murder someone. I bet we have a couple of moments like that that keep happening because Oliver might be a bad influence on him because Oliver's always like, just kill him, dude.
You mean Oliver, who's in his very first fight fucking murdered a guy?
Yeah. Which, by the way, my partner John watched this episode with me, and he's like, "So wait, who's the kid?" And I was like, "Okay, so Mark's dad fucked an ant from a different planet, and yeah, it's that." And he's like, "Ew. Why?" I don't even know.
Next week's the last episode of the season.
Yeah, I'm a little sad. I've been really enjoying it. James Keegan says, "Heyo."
Hello
there. Shall we move on to
Severance?
I think
we should.
Yes.
So before we go into anything, what did you think about the episode length? Because I know this is a big issue for you.
It's not. It depends on how it's done. I think that So first of all, it's the only episode in the season that is that's this short.
Mm-hmm. It's like 37 minutes or
right.
something.
They pack so much shit into this episode while still being inventive with the cinematography, composing good shots, getting amazing performances.
This episode's directed by Ben Stiller, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't mind the episode length.
No.
It feels intentional. It feels like they were like, okay, we're gonna have one episode that's this length, and that like these things are gonna happen, and we like it needs to be this for this reason. It wasn't we need to get one more month of Disney Plus subscriptions out of everyone, so we're gonna split everything up into tiny little pieces so it goes longer. I thought that the show was well served by how this episode was formatted and its length.
Yeah, I think it was intentional in that they had the amount of stuff that they wanted to say and do, and they did all that, and they said, okay, that's it. We don't need to pad it out. Ship it.
Right. Yeah, if it serves the story, and it's the episode length is a product of the intention and the art of it, and it ends up being 35 minutes, or it ends up being 20 minutes, or if it ends up being 10 minutes, if it is at the end the same piece of art that every one of these fucking episodes have been, all the power to them, right? Okay. And you brought this up because you know that
I know every time we talk about any show
in Star Wars,
you always say the episodes are too short.
It's because the Star Wars live action shows, with the exception of Andor, are the opposite of this, where they're like, okay, we have this story, but we need X number of episodes, so we need to cut things in weird places, so we get one more month of people's Disney Plus subscriptions. That is not this, which I was, so I'm fine with it. Okay. So the episode was called Sweet Vitriol, which is, by the way, apparently I looked into this. It's another word for diethyl ether, which is, we find out what they were producing in this little town and everything. So I thought that was a neat little thing.
Fucking Harmony Cobell is driving her early 80s era hatchback.
This entire episode was filmed at Fogo Island in Newfoundland, Canada.
Okay.
And you can tell it's got this it's a like very coastal fishing village, like the bay has icebergs in it and shit. It's
very bleak.
Yeah, the location is breathtakingly gorgeous. It looks so good. But yeah, she's driving her car, and she's going down like a long windy road to Salt's Neck. First of all, weird fucking name for a town, but what the fuck ever. Which, as I mentioned, is like a coastal fishing kind of thing.
Yeah, we get some establishing shots of this, and it is extremely run down.
It's seen better years.
Wooden buildings with paint peeling off of them.
Right.
It looks so different from the
Kier.
Town city.
Kier.
Where everything is like really well maintained and feels almost like kind of artificial. This feels much more naturally built and organic, I guess.
Yep. So there's no title sequence, which I think at this point they do for the episodes that don't feature the innies. So I think when we spend time with the innies, we get the title sequence.
Okay.
And when we don't, like the second episode, which is like the direct aftermath of the overtime contingency and like Mark at Devin's house and stuff, didn't have a title sequence either. So Cobell's been living out of her car. Yeah. So she stops to brush her teeth.
Like you do.
Yeah, and she sees a rando sitting in his van huffing something out of a brown paper bag.
Yeah, fucking dumps some liquid into a bag and huffs it.
And which will come back later. So she gets a phone call from Devin Scout, Mark's sister, which she
lets go to voicemail.
Yeah. So she goes over to the old Drippy Pot Cafe and meets...
Which is a terrible name for a cafe.
Meets a man named Hampton, who is like a server / cook there, I guess. And
Hampton, by the way, while he's pouring coffee for a dude, like pulled a little bottle out of his
mysterious
pocket.
Green bottle.
It's here. It's on the house.
Yep. So the relationship between Hampton and Cobell is not what I would describe as very warm.
It's strained at best.
And I think it's really funny how she imitates what she expects his reaction to be.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, Harmony Cobell, well, I'll be a flip toboggan or whatever the fuck. And he like, he's
like, look, are you gonna buy something or are you gonna get the fuck out?
Yeah. She seems to have an extraordinary amount of disdain for the people of this town and the town itself.
Yeah.
And because she's like, wow, this place is a piece of shit, just like the last time I was here. And he has this whole very Lumen-esque, the divestiture of the blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
blah, blah. And
like he just spouts off a bunch of corporate speak.
Yeah, and she's like, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Cobell's like, I need a favor. Meet me at the old factory. Mm-hmm. And then she just leaves, and he's like, oh, fuck it, fine, okay.
So we get some establishing shots of this factory, and you can see like a faded paint Lumen Industries logo.
Yeah, it's like an older logo though.
Yeah.
So you like obviously also while he's driving through town, there are buildings with Lumen logos on them too. Like one of them's like there's an advertisement on the side of the building for Ether.
Yeah.
So they go to this factory, which is dilapidated and abandoned, and
this is a really nice stare down where like Harmony Cobell's sitting in her car and Hampton's sitting in his truck, and they're just staring at each other.
Yeah.
Finally, Cobell gets out and walks about halfway there, and Hampton sees her for a second, and then gets out and walks out.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's interesting. I couldn't immediately clock their relationship because I was like, okay, so they could be related and they're siblings, or
maybe they fucked
or
once.
they used to fuck. And the fact that like it could be either of those things, I'm not really sure how to feel about it. So she says, I need you to take me to go see Sissy. And he's like,
why the fuck would I do that?
Sounds terrible. I'm not a fan of that idea. And she's like, well, I need you to take me there because someone might be watching the house. And he's like, why? What the fuck did you do? And she's like, oh, by the way, this whole conversation happens very quietly under their voices, even though they're out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of this parking lot, in this abandoned factory. Harmony Cobell is speaking like a woman who assumes there's someone listening. And I think it's because she knows what Lumen is capable of.
Yeah, for sure.
So we get some information in this little talk, by the way. So first of all, Hampton is not a fan of Lumen, accuses them of child labor, which they are apparently guilty of.
Yeah. If you go by Miss Huang.
Yeah. So, well, specifically them who were 8-year-old employees at this ether factory working 10-hour shifts.
Yeah. Like Harmony says, of course you'd help me. We're old colleagues. And he'd say like, we were fucking child laborers.
Yeah,
Don't get it twisted.
We were 8 years old. So this factory where they are is the ether factory where apparently Kier and Imogen met in the lore, in the paintings, right? Which I guess sets Salt's Neck as like the birthplace of Lumen, which is interesting because Salt's Neck is barely even there anymore.
Yeah.
So Cobell scrambles into the back of his truck, which is a Jeep. It's that model Jeep in the 90s. Like most of the time Jeep makes Jeeps, but it's like it was like their pickup truck version or whatever that thing is called. So he gets in the back, she gets into the back, covers herself up with a tarp.
Yeah.
And Hampton sneaks her out to this secluded house out in the middle of nowhere, which is
while she's hiding under the tarp, Devin calls again, and
which she's like, nope,
not doing it.
Sorry, I'm busy in the back of this truck. So we meet Sissy.
Well, we get out there, and as Harmony's walking past Hampton, she's like, I can fucking tell you're high. What the hell, man?
Yeah. And he's like,
there's nothing else to do in this fucking town. Might as well get high on ether.
The question is, and he will address this later, why aren't you high?
Yeah.
So we meet Sissy, who I think is Cobell's aunt.
Something like that. I was trying to clock their relationship. At first, I thought they might be sisters.
I thought so as well.
But the way Sissy says and phrases certain things makes that.
Well, she refers to Cobell's mom as your mother.
Yeah.
So
aunt is possible. Maybe cousin.
Somewhere in the family.
Possibly a nanny or a caretaker.
I think she's at least in the family. I think she's at least related. Okay. So, because they both have that shock white hair, she's dressed very strangely. It's in this all white, culty Mennonite. Sorry if you're a Mennonite. Well, if you're a Mennonite, you're probably not watching this, but like it's that kind of
it's
very
big,
simple
long frock.
Yeah. She is not happy to see Cobell.
No, like Cobell walks in the house and she's like, "This is fucking invasion. You need to get the fuck out."
Well, she does that thing where everything she says is weird and kind of old timey and shit, which apparently I think is just a Lumen fanatic way of speaking.
Yeah.
She calls Hampton a huff peddler,
which is true.
Yes, and then Cobell says, "You're the one who gave him the thirst for it, so shut the fuck up." So Sissy is obviously the family's entry point for the Lumen cult, because we find out that Cobell's mother wasn't a believer, so they didn't pick it up. Like Harmony didn't pick it up from her mother. I think Sissy probably was like, "Oh, here's this new religion I found."
Yeah,
the same way Scientologists do.
Yeah,
where they're like, "Oh, aliens," as it turns out, aliens and Tom Cruise. Yeah, and so. Cobell runs upstairs and
starts going through her old room trying to find something, but all her shit is gone.
She tries to get into her mother's room too, which is locked.
Yes.
And she demands to know where. She's like, "Where's all my shit?" And she says, and I quote, "I sold it to the poor." It's like, you did.
Okay, hold on.
You did what now?
They're poor. They can't afford to buy things.
It's just another one of those bizarre things where it's like, you could have said this the normal way and you chose not to, and I don't understand why. It's so fucking weird. It's like the one guy in the last episode who says, "Dream sweet."
Yeah.
It's like, shut the fuck up, you Lumen motherfucker. I don't even know what that means. So she asks Sissy if anyone's tried to call her from Lumen. She's like, "Yeah, Mr. Drummond called." You can see Cobell's like, "Oh fuck,
that fucking guy."
So there's a lot of exposition. We're gonna get through it so we can move on. But we find out there's still Harmony is still carrying a lot of baggage over her mother's death. But it turns out that she died in this house because she eventually gets the key to the room.
Gets in there and there's this respirator,
like a ventilator, right?
Yep.
And she does this very strange thing where she lays on her mom's hospital bed, which, by the way, according to their customs, that room is supposed to be locked until everyone who knew her sits with Kier.
Yes.
Which is like, okay,
I guess.
How many people did she know? Because that might take a fucking while. So she lays on the hospital bed and
plugs in her mom's old breathing tube and fucking
like sucks on it a little bit. And it's weird. It's infantilizing a little bit, and it's very bizarre. But
and she stays there for a really long time, because there's a time lapse that goes from like sun up to sundown.
Right. I love how they show the passage of time there with the light shifting. Because, by the way, and I don't know, some people seem to think there's some contention about this. The Earth is a globe, and that's how the sun moves, right?
Well, we move relative to the sun, but
we're all moving. Everything's moving. So,
finally, Hampton just busts in the door and is like, "Hey, are we going or what? Like, it's really fucking cold out there."
Yeah. Well, hold on. Before that, so I have to mention, when she's looking for the key to the room, she looks through her old Lumen.
She goes
shrine?
through Sissy's stuff.
Or is that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's Sissy's room.
Did you see the goats?
They're
everywhere.
Yep.
Fucking goats everywhere.
I don't know what Kier's fascination with goats were.
Well, I think it's one of the tempers. I think it's Malice. Yeah. He's a goat. So we find out that Cobell didn't say goodbye to her mom because she was focusing on her studies, which it was to say that she was a Wintertide fellow, which is the thing that Miss Wong's trying to get, by the way. So, Hampton runs up and is like, "Hey, so instead of me sitting in my freezing truck, do you want to
get high?
You want to huff some ether?" And she's like, "I thought you'd never ask." Fuck. And they both huff ether, and she mentions how, I have not done this since I was 8 and we were working 10-hour shifts. And it's like, oh my God. So he asks her, he plays the pronoun game, and he's like, so did you find it? And she's like, well, no, she said she sold it to the poor. And he's like, oh, that's fucking weird. How would the poor buy things? She's like, I don't fucking know. It's a lumen. I don't know.
Then she thinks for a second. She's like,
yeah, she's like, there's no way.
She wouldn't have gotten rid of it.
No way she would have gotten rid of it. And so they go out to like this old...
like underground shed thing. And
they have their little lantern and shit. And they go through a bunch of old shit. Which, by the way, they find one of her yearbooks from the Myrtle Egan School of Girls, and it's not called a yearbook; it's called an Annual Reminiscences.
Which is such a fucking Lumen way of saying yearbook.
Guess what their mascot was? Because if you pause and look through it, they had a field hockey team and some clubs and stuff.
Is it the goats?
Kids.
Yep.
They were the kids, which is what you call
young goats,
a baby goat. These fucking guys and goats. So they find a bust. I think in my notes it says Kier, but I think it was actually Jame.
Yeah, Jame Egan, because she had won some prize named after Jame Egan. So she gets out of this bust and like she unscrews the bottom, pulls out this folded up notebook, and she's like, "All right, got it, perfect."
Yes.
And she walks out, hands the bust to Hampton. Is like, "Here,
hold my head.
Hold my head. Yeah. I'm gonna go fucking yell at Sissy."
Which, by the way, another great place to notice: Patricia Arquette is a fantastic actor. She's so much fun to watch on screen. So we get this huge revelation, which is that Harmony Cobell invented Severance.
Yep.
And Jame Egan took credit for it. And they do the cult thing where they're like, Kier's knowledge belongs to everyone. Yeah. And if you try to take credit for this, we'll banish you and it'll be really bad.
I want to do a little bit of napkin math on this, just because it was something going through my head.
Okay.
So she's implied to have come up with this like in school at some point.
Yeah,
right?
when she was in high school, I think.
Yeah, so that would make her, 18 at the oldest when she did
it? The oldest, I would say, sure.
And then, like, currently she's, 50 at least?
I would say mid-50s.
Mid-50s,
yeah.
Okay. So that gives us a stretch of, 35 years between when it was conceptualized and now?
Yes.
So that would mean that it's very, very possible there were severed people about 20 years ago when Bert's man friend slipped up.
So he wasn't, as we know, I don't think any of us believe that he got kind of addled over the timeline.
But I'm saying it's conceivable, and that Lumen is not telling the truth about when they started doing it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So Sissy believes her. She's like, "Oh, this is extraordinary. I'm gonna put it in the fire.
I'm gonna try to burn it now."
Yeah. Because instead of acknowledging that her cult was wrong, she
suppresses the evidence.
Yeah. So thank God, or thank Kier, whatever the fuck. Harmony's able.
Goats.
Yeah. Thank you, goats. She's able to snatch it from her before she burns it. And
on her way out, Sissy's like, "By the way, I didn't pull that breathing tube out of your mother. She did.
Yeah, and you both suck.
And she wanted to.
Yes.
So just take that with you.
Get the fuck out. And I'm going to call you a weed. You weed.
Yeah. Now get out of my house."
So Hampton's like,
"Hey, there's someone coming. You should probably go now."
I like how we start this episode off with Hampton being openly hostile to her, to at the end giving her his keys and being like, "I'll hold them the fuck off."
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and so she gets in the Jeep and drives off.
What's the last thing he says?
He says, "Come and tame these tempers, asshole," which is like, yes, get him.
Yes.
So on the way out, Cobell talks to Devin.
Yep, Devin calls her again. She's like, "Hello."
Yeah, and
Devin's
she's
like, "Oh, thank God, I've been trying to call you like all day."
Yeah, she's like, "Mark's reintegrating," and immediately Cobell's like, "Fucking Ragabi, are you serious?" Like, she hasn't killed him yet, and she's like,
"No, not yet."
Is that a thing that can happen? Maybe I should have called you first.
Yeah.
And she's like,
"Okay, is
put
Mark
on. Put Mark on the fucking phone
right the fuck now."
And so
Mark's like, "Hi."
I like how Mark's like, "Why am I talking? You know what? I don't fucking care. What's up?" And she's like, "Tell me everything." And that's how the episode ends. And it's like, look, for a short 34 minute episode, so much shit in this episode.
Yeah.
Lots of questions answered that also ask other questions.
Yeah. We know why Harmony Cobell was so obsessed with being put back in charge of the Severed Floor, because it's her
invention.
Yeah, it's her. Yeah. It's her chip.
They're looking at her behaviors throughout the first season, knowing what we know now. about the nature of Mark and Gemma's thing, whatever they're doing in there, and the fact that she invented the severed procedure. You go back to the first season and think about all of her actions, and all of it makes sense. The fact that, of course, she would be invested to see how Mark and Gemma react while they're severed, and her obsession, her living right next to Mark, and trying to spend as much time with him as possible. Like, she invented the technology, and she wants to see it working. It was a brilliant revelation. And I think it's really cool. And I think it's entirely possible that Harmony Cobell is not a soldier of Lumen anymore. I think that she's a woman on a rampage, and I think she's ready to burn it all down. She might have an Irving moment where she's like, "Let's all burn it to the
You motherfuckers have misused my technology for the last time.
You smug motherfucker." All right, Daredevil, Born Again. I'm going to talk about the first like 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I think next week we'll give it we'll give it a closer look, and then the next week's episode as well.
I just want to mention up front that this show is not being particularly subtle about being a parable about Donald Trump.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Except, you know what? Wilson Fisk is who Donald Trump wishes he was, but
100%.
he's just not smart enough. Right? Because Wilson Fisk is a morally bankrupt criminal, but he's also brilliant. He's a very smart man, and he's an actual billionaire. Which Trump might, at this point, he's conned himself into so much bullshit. He might actually have billions of dollars now. He wasn't when he first ran, by the way. He was cash fucking poor. So yeah, Wilson Fisk is mayor. We'll work backwards.
Yeah.
He in a recall election becomes mayor. Seems to have turned over a new leaf.
That was kind of the point of the end of Echo, I thought.
Yeah.
Was that she like mind tricked him into not being such an asshole.
Do you think it's gonna hold?
Maybe.
I think he's
still a little bit of an asshole.
There are some moments
not quite
there,
as much of an asshole.
There's some moments there when something happens, you just see his eye twitch. You're like, this man's gonna go off.
In the second episode, there's a close up of his knuckles, and you can see that they're like kind of bloody, like he might have been punching something.
He looks like he beat the shit out of something.
Yeah.
He and his wife get counseling, which I think is really funny. This is like, okay, I don't love the actor that plays Fisk, and I get that he's good, but there's something about his line delivery, the way he says words, that kind of puts me off a little bit, and it's a personal thing. Yeah. Like I said, Chiklis is an amazing actor, and there's a reason that they picked him for this. I think the actor has lost a little bit of weight. You can tell as well. They lampshade it a little bit.
Yeah. Murdoch says your steps lighter. You've lost weight and put on muscle.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah.
Now you're just showing off.
Yeah, now I just eat egg whites and asparagus. So the first 5 minutes of this episode, I am not familiar with many of these characters. Obviously, I know about Matt Murdock, but there's a character named Foggy who I didn't know existed.
Foggy, and then what's her name? I forget, but apparently they're all lawyers at the same little
Page,
firm.
Murdoch, something and Page.
Yeah.
Page and Nelson, Page and Murdoch.
Yeah, that one.
Esquire. This whole you can tell it's one of those scenes where when it starts, there are some musical choices where you can just feel something bad's about to happen. And
they're down at a bar celebrating this police officer's retirement.
Cherry, I think. Yeah. Cherry's his name. He's going to retire. Which, by the way, he's like, oh yeah, the vigilantes get cheered, and we, because he's a cop, and we get sued, and it's like, oh boo, fucking who? This career path that you chose. So what a hero.
And outside, we get some shots of Bullseye, the one from the Elektra movie, in the
played by Colin Firth in the Elektra movie, by the way. Yeah.
That movie was not very good.
No, it was not.
But this incarnation of Bullseye fucking pulls out his ski mask and shoots Foggy when he steps outside to take a call.
Thus starting this heart-wrenching, devastating, but kind of amazing oneer.
Yeah.
Where he and Daredevil fight all the way up the stairs of the building.
Yep.
And the entire time, because
Daredevil can hear really well.
Does he have a superpower?
His superpower is really good senses. Like he's blind, but all of his other senses are super.
So the entire time he can hear the woman pleading with Foggy to stay awake,
and Foggy's heartbeat,
right? And they get to the top, and
really funny. I this had to be intentional, where part of that fight scene's in this really narrow hallway,
right? Yeah, yep. So by the time they get to the top of this building, they are both spent.
Yes, like Bullseye has chucked like 12 knives into Daredevil.
Yeah, because like Daredevil has like a bunch of daggers sticking out of him and shit, and like he's Bullseye's gotten just the shit beat out of him. So he gets up there and he finally gets a hold of Daredevil and Bullseye, and he's holding him over the edge, and then he hears Foggy's heart stop, and screams why, and the guy just laughs, and in a moment where it's like shit, he just fucking drops him off the building,
just tosses him off,
and you can tell I don't think he expected him to live, because he does a Michael Myers, like opens the eyes and like I'm still alive, motherfuckers. But yeah, just fucking like not knowing what to do next, just completely void of emotion, just fucking drops him off the building, and it's like,
damn,
Daredevil's got a dark side.
Yeah. Like I was not familiar with the Netflix shows, so I was not expecting this.
Yeah. And
damn.
Then it's so they're setting up some characters. One of them is going to be played by Hunter Doohan, who is recently in Wednesday. It was also in a really good Bryan Cranston show called Your Honor. He's a really good actor, gay actor, by the way, and is really great. And I know the actor that played Tiger Dude,
White
Tiger died, which is that was that dedication at the beginning of that one episode. But Matt Murdock is trying to do the lawyer thing, but also he's really depressed about Fisk winning the mayorship,
and he's also like retired from being Daredevil.
Right. Yeah. And because they broke his little helmet.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I lost a bit off my helmet. And I do one of the really cool episodes or scenes in the episode is him kind of ambushing Fisk. And like, let's go have breakfast.
Let's go have some coffee.
Yeah. And they sit down and they have.
It's this really tense conversation.
Yeah. They're both lying to themselves. Because like Fisk is like, I'm a new man. I've turned over a new leaf, Vanessa or whatever the fuck. Yeah. And he's like, oh, I'm not a vigilante anymore. I'm just going to work in the system. And it's like, okay, both of you know this is bullshit. Like you're going to end up being a vigilante. You're probably going to end up killing somebody. And you're going to be Fisk, right? They do mention Spider-Man once in the episode, which I thought was cool. And they also, there are a couple of mentions about Punisher.
Yep.
Which was kind of cool.
There's a cop character who, like, we see a flash that he's wearing like some Punisher gear of some sort.
He's got a tattoo or something.
Yeah,
right?
That's what it was.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we'll have more on Daredevil next week. So stay tuned for that. We are going to reset First and Battlefront, so go check that out. I forgot to say it at the top of the hour, but if you've not followed us on Facebook Live, Twitch, Kick now apparently.
YouTube,
TikTok, YouTube. We also have a Discord server. You can come by and say hi.
Blue Sky,
Blue Sky, right? Yeah, come by and say hi and talk about the nerdy shit you like. Please do that. That'd be great. Otherwise, we're gonna play some Battlefront here in a minute. You can come back, and I think we'll be a little bit more available to answer chats and stuff. So, which by the way, Christopher says, "May the force be with you, Daniel." Chris, I hope you're having a good night. And then Boomhauer says,
"All right."
Hi-do-lee-ho, neighbors. Oh, okay. Neighborinos.
That is not very good role play on your part, sir, because that is a Ned Flanders thing, not a Boomhauer thing.
Oh,